Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, look at that. These are turnips that I grew in the late fall. And look, this one even has some snow still on it and they're still really good. I got my basket over here with me. I'm going to be taking these inside and prepping a lunch with them. I got some radishes over here. Look at this radish. It's perfect. Whoop. And right now we are in early December and we are still getting harvest from our garden. Hello everyone, if you are new here, my name is Chantel. Today I wanted to take you on a little tour to show you what we still have in our winter vegetable garden. We are in December right now. We were previously in zone 5B and now we have been brought up to zone 6. I'm not so sure about that. This December has been a mild December. We had a couple snows. Our temperatures went down below the 20s a few nights, not that much, but mostly it has been in the 20s. And we still have some greens that are in the garden right now. And I'm super excited about that because that makes it available for us to come over here and harvest. So let me show you what we have. Let's start with this bed that I was just harvesting from. Today the temperatures are in the 40, which is perfect for filming this video. We still have a few things over here, even though the tops look sort of sad or really sad. These are still things that I'm still able to harvest from because a lot of them are root crops. We also have over here some bok choy and some of this Napa cabbage. This one I believe is a bok choy and I think I'm going to harvest this one and use it also to cook with today before the temperatures drop down really low. And on this side over here I have some daikon radish. Let's see if I can get it out. Oh, look at that one. I'm gonna grab another one, put it in my basket. So this one is a little smaller. We also over here got some radishes. We don't eat that many radishes, so I don't have to plant that many of them and I don't have to keep succession planting. On this side over here, we have some arugula. Let me stand in a different location so that you guys don't see my shadow. So look at it, it's still looking great. We had low temperatures below the 20s and this thing is still doing great and I can still harvest off of it if I want to. Also we have in the back some cilantro that is also still doing okay. It's not growing, but it's here and I could take a few snips off of it here and there just to flavor the food if I want to. And I also planted some kohlrabi. Now the grains don't look that great, but these are still alive and well. I can, if I want to, leave them in here so that I can have them seed in the... Actually, are these kohlrabi? No, this one is a daikon radish. That's right. Here, let's harvest it. Let's see. Is it a kohlrabi? No, that's a daikon radish. Yeah. No. That's not a daikon radish, is it? I don't know, this thing looks weird. Anyways, I'm gonna put it with these things over here. But we do have some kohlrabi over here that's still looking good also. And on this side over here, we have some kale that's still looking okay. And the Swiss chard is still alive. If you look down here, you can see the leaves that were below all the other leaves and that got protected by the layer of snow are still viable. And this Russian kale is really hardy. It's the purple one right there. It's also very beautiful. I love it. I love its color and I think it adds great color and texture to the garden. And I could still harvest off of this kale if I want to, or whenever I want to, I can do that. And This bed needs some cleanup over here. On this side over here, we still have some herbs. We have some oregano that seeded itself in here. I will be eventually transplanting it and putting it in a specific herb bed that I have. This bed also needs to be cleaned up, but I have some strawberries over here. Of course, the strawberries are not producing, but they're still looking great. I need to add some more to them. And in this bed over here that needs to be weeded, I also have some fennel. This is a second-year fennel. I forgot what I was saying because I thought I was filming. Turns out I was not. But what I was trying to say is I planted this fennel last summer from last season, not this summer that we just passed, but the summer before that, so the summer of 2022. And I wanted to test it to see if the fennel is going to come back. So I cut it about 8 inches above the ground level, because where I grew up, fennel was a perennial, and I wanted to see, is it going to be a perennial in the area that we live in? And sure enough, it came back, and it came right from the stalks, not from seeds, because actually last season it did not put on any seeds, I think. I'm not sure. But anyways, it did come back from the stalks. Actually, last winter we had degrees of -20 Fahrenheit. That is pretty cold. And this fennel still came back. So if you want to try this, cut your fennel about 6 to 8 inches above ground level and see if it's going to come back, because it did for me. And we had pretty severe temperatures last winter. And again, we were in zone 5. I still think we're in zone 5, but the zone maps have changed now, so we are in zone 6A. But anyways, this fennel came back for zone 5 temperatures. So try it out. And in this section over here, we have the garlic that I planted in the late fall, and it is dormant right now, but it's putting on a lot of fruit growth, and it's going to continue to do that throughout the winter. And if you remember, the bed that was in front of it was full of tall weeds. So I came here a couple early mornings and I pulled all the weeds out of there, and I wanted to start an herb garden in that bed over there. And I know that's pretty far from the house. That's probably not a very good idea, but I did it again. I thought I was filming and I was not. What happens is I stop recording so that I can flip the screen on the phone, and then when I flip the screen, I forget to hit the record button. Anyways, so I want that section over there to be my vegetable garden, and this section where I'm standing at over here, I want it to be a perennial garden. I want to plant a lot of perennial fruits in here, shrubs and vining plants like grapevines and hardy kiwis, and I want to add some pink blueberry lemonade, I think, something like that. It's a type of blueberry. I want to add it in here, and some other types of berries, and I want to keep this a fruiting perennial garden. And I thought I can plant underneath those perennials, or at least some of them, like the vining ones, some herbs in this garden over here. And this is why I am planting the herb bed in this section over here. Now maybe in the future I might change my mind, and then I decide, no, really I want my herbs to be close to the house. Then I could just dig them out and plant them next to the house. These are perennial herbs, and they're going to seed themselves also, so it's not going to be a big deal. I also have some thyme in this section that just seeded itself in here, and it looks like a really good variety of thyme. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's not spearmint. It's a different type of thyme, but it smells really good, and I used it a few times. I wish I was able to harvest some of it before the frost came and hit it. Now it's all gone, but I am super excited that I have this variety, because the ones that I have in the pots are kind of struggling because I haven't been really taking care of them. They need to be constantly fertilized and nourished because they are in pots, and because the water constantly leaches all the nutrients out of the pots because they are on irrigation, so I don't have to worry about them. But when they are on irrigation and they're getting watered with the rest of the vegetable garden over here, what happens is that they receive a lot of water, so all the nutrients from the pots leaches out. So I'm just going to plant them in my vegetable garden and just keep controlling them. Yes, they are a thug. They can take over, but I can take over them. Also, we have the fencing over here, but I'm going to be changing this fencing next season, and I want to create a different sort of fencing. I will take you along with me when I do that, and I will show you how I'm going to be doing it, because unfortunately with this fencing, what has been happening is that grass is getting too tall and the fence kept shorting. So my husband just cut the power off so that it doesn't keep taking the power from the area where we keep our bees, or from the cottage garden, potager garden, I forgot what I called it. Anyways, the reason why our grass is too tall is because the lawnmower kept breaking, and because it kept breaking, we couldn't mow our lawn. So anyways, you get the point. The fence kept shorting. So I have a different plan for it that I'm going to be doing next season. So you can see over here that we still have the frost covers. I am not sure if anything has survived under them or not, because we had 2 snows, as I have mentioned earlier, and the snow has collapsed all of my frost covers. I meant to get here before the snow and just try to do something about it, especially these over here. I wanted to put some cups on the T-posts, the plastic cups, to stop the frost covers from ripping and going through the T-posts, and I wasn't able to get to it before the snow came. So now my frost covers have holes in them, or at least 2 of them. And of course, because the wind was so strong, it blew the frost cover over and my beans are all dead. It's all right, you know, it's not a big deal. I'm kind of done anyways. But over here we also have some carrots that the deer have been pulling up, and they ate all the tops off. I'm actually going to take a few so that I can make some lunch with them. And these didn't grow so big, some of them did, but because the deer ate the tops off of them, they're, well, 1, it's hard to pull them out, and 2, they didn't get to gather enough nutrients. Let's see, is this a big one over here? Nope, just fat. Oh, they smell so good though. Let's put them in the basket. I'm gonna grab some more. Whoa. I should have brought my gloves. Come on. This one looks like it's a good one and doesn't want to come out. Nope. It's all right. My first crop was much better, but these are going to taste so sweet. I think that should be enough. Right now, I want to give you some gardening tips on how you can grow your own winter garden. But stay tuned, because after that, we are going to see what's growing under these frost covers, and you'll be surprised to see some things still growing under them. If you live in a warmer zone than I am, then you are super lucky. Well, right now, it's actually getting really warm. I'm starting to get sort of hot, so I'm gonna open my jacket. Talking about warm weather makes me feel warm. Anyways, so if you want to have a winter garden, what you want to do, if you live in a warmer environment than I am, let's say you are in zone 7 or below that, you can still grow a lot of greens in your winter garden. There are plenty of hardy plants. For example, most of the plants that we plant for fall over here are going to thrive in your winter garden. That's going to be things like kale, broccoli, and cauliflower, and radishes, and turnips, and cabbage, and all sorts of things like that. Now, just be mindful that cabbages and things of the sort that have leafy growth on them, they can be damaged by the frost if it gets too low below the hard frost temperature, which is 28. As you saw over here, my Napa cabbages were slightly damaged by the cold temperatures, but they are still doing okay. The inside growth is okay. So I think for next season, if I want these things to succeed, I'm going to have to start them a little earlier. The problem with our weather over here is we constantly have fluctuating temperatures when fall starts coming and when spring is here. So during the spring, sometimes we get heat waves. It would be freezing, and then all of a sudden it would go up to like 80 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and that causes all of our cold weather plants to bolt. And the same thing can happen in the fall. So I waited to plant these things in the ground until those temperatures kind of settled down a little bit and we weren't having too many of those heat waves. We still had one anyways, and then the cold weather finally came. And these things were still growing and doing great, but once it dipped a little bit below the 20s, they got a little bit of damage on them. And again, if you live in a warmer climate than I am, if you are in zone 7 or below that, then you are going to be able to grow all these things without any problem. Even better, you can, if you don't get snow, if you are afraid that you might get these temperatures, you could put frost covers with maybe sturdier things than I had over here, because I've mentioned this before in previous videos. My hoops are not strong. The hoops that I put my frost covers on, and I would like to have some strong hoops so that I can grow some winter crops in our garden, because it's just fun. It's not so much, you know, to grow them, but I just like to go outside and see something growing in the garden, because that's who I am. I just love to go and harvest from the garden. I just find it so satisfying. Plus, you know what you are growing in your garden, because they're going to be organically grown, and you know what you're putting in your soil and what you're putting on your plants. So that's just going to be an extra bonus in my opinion. That is the reason why, one of the main reasons why I grow organic vegetables in our garden, is for that reason specifically. Plus the added benefit of just the enjoyment of going outside and harvesting from our garden. Yeah, so basically what you are going to be planting is a lot of these cold hardy crops. Other things are going to be like carrots and maybe some spinach, some lettuce. Lettuce is a little bit tender. Some varieties of lettuce might be more hardy than others. It depends how sweet they are. I find that the sweeter they are, the less hardy they are when it comes to the cold. It has to do with the cell structure of the plant. I'm not exactly sure what is going on in there, but I do find that sweeter varieties of lettuce are not as hardy as the bitter varieties of lettuce. Dandelions are going to love it, of course. You know, we have dandelions in the winter over here. Probably if you dig under the snow, you'll find dandelions. So that's what you want to do to grow your winter garden. And again, just if you want to extend the season a little more, if you have, maybe if you are in an area like I am and you want to have an extended season and still be able to harvest during the winter, you want to find some hoops that are super sturdy, and you could either put just a plastic tarp and plant these frost hardy plants or beneath it, or you can have some double layer or triple layer of frost covers that is going to be tightened up and be able to stand the snow. If you get heavy snow, the frost covers might not be a good and ideal situation. You might want to do the plastics instead, like greenhouse plastic, because that's going to allow the snow to slide off of it. The thing about the frost covers is that they just catch the snow, because they are this kind of grippy texture, and the snow is not going to slide off of it. And even though the ground has frozen numerous amounts of times, these plants are still doing great. Even the crops that are growing underground, like the turnips and the radishes and all these things, they are still doing amazing. The tops are still doing great as well. I mean, these things have a magnificent ability to withstand the snow and the frost and the cold in general, because their leaf structure, the cellular structure of their leaves is super hardy, and they're able to withstand a lot of cold weather. So now let me take you just on a quick tour to see what's under the frost covers, to see if we are actually able to grow something under these frost covers during our winter temperatures or not. Okay, let's first look at this one over here, shall we? I'm going to go over to this side, because this side is a bit easier to open. I have these rocks over here just to hold the frost cover. And look at this! Look at all the greens! Oh, this is such a beautiful sight. I love it. Oh, it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. Is it weird that I love seeing green in the winter? I don't think so. I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same way. But this is parsley. And this parsley, as long as I have it protected, is going to come back for me next season because it needs some layer of protection. If there are no plants protecting it, it might not come back. But if there is something protecting it, it definitely will come back. So I think even though these hoops over here are not that great, I'm still going to keep this frost cover over here because it will protect the plants and it will allow them to come back next season. This way, next season, in the spring, in the summer, I could come here and harvest parsley to my heart's delight because we love parsley. I make a lot of tabbouleh and all sorts of things with it. So I want a giant bed of parsley, and unfortunately I was late on planting it. But now it's planted. Next season, all I have to do is just give it some compost and some fertilizer and it should be good to go. So now let's check out the next frost cover. Which one is it gonna be? I'm actually curious to see if the broccoli are still alive. So let's go ahead and check it out. This bed right here is where I planted my broccoli and cauliflower, and I have no idea what is growing in here or what is not growing in here. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, one thing I see for sure is weeds. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. Okay, you guys are putting on some growth. That makes me happy. We got some onions in there too. Okay, so yes, this frost cover did collapse, but this broccoli is putting on some growth. And I'm kind of curious if I keep this frost cover over it and leave it as I'm going to do with the parsley, will all these plants come back next season? We shall see. I still have more on the other side also, but look, this is so healthy. And plus, a bonus of this method is that these plants are not being eaten by the cabbage moth. Something else is eating them, might be slugs, but the cabbage moth is leaving them alone. Yay! I keep doing it. I keep not recording. This is so frustrating. Okay, so how exciting is it to see some broccoli growing under these frost covers? But how exciting it is to come out here and see some greens growing out in your garden in the winter or in the super late fall, and how more exciting it would even be to come out here in the middle of the snow and harvest some greens off your garden. So what I would really like to do is to get some hoops that are much stronger than these, that are able to withstand snow, and possibly put plastic covers on them to extend the winter season instead of the frost covers, so that the snow would just slide off. That would be so amazing. This way I could have winter greens in the garden and enjoy them all winter long. Not just winter greens, but carrots and all sorts of things. And as I have showed you, it doesn't matter for a lot of plants if the ground was frozen or not. These plants are super hardy, and the ground has been frozen over and over and over many times, and they are still alive. Now the ones that are under the frost covers, I'm sure the ground has frozen when the temperatures have dipped down low, but it's not going to be as severe as the ones that are exposed, like the turnips and the radishes over there, and the Napa cabbage. And that ground has frozen pretty good and deep too. And those things are still alive, so it's proof. So right now, let's go ahead and check out the peppers and see if we can still find something in there or not. So this is the pepper bed. The wind kind of came and blew it over, and this part got exposed. I wasn't able to come here and harvest the rest of the peppers, but we're gonna see if any of them are alive, and it looks like they're all dead. But you know what? Also looks like I have a lot of weeds that I need to weed. I am not disappointed because these peppers gave me a lot of peppers, and yes, there were a lot of peppers on them that I should have harvested, but now these peppers are feeding the ground. They're a fertilizer, so I'm not that sad about it. It's all right. I'm kind of getting into this mindset of the resting season in the winter, so I am sort of a little bit done with like big chores in the garden, and I'm thankful that the garden is putting itself to bed. And I still probably might come out here and just clean up this bed a little bit. I have a few chores that I still need to do outside, but I'm not sad about it. I'm not sad that the peppers are gone. I'm going to be okay with it, and I'm going to be thankful for what they have given me this season, because it was a blessing regardless of whether I harvested all of them or not. I got what I was able to get from them, and I'm thankful for that. So there's one more bed that I would like to show you, so let's go ahead and check it out. And it's this bed over here. It looks like a massacre. Looks like a bunch of swords coming out. This is a medieval day garden. Anyways, so this is my celery bed. And unfortunately, I wanted to harvest it before the snow came. Then the snow came and just kind of collapsed the covers and destroyed my plants. But if we look under these snow covers, we can still see some celery growing in here. Look at it. It's still alive and well. I'm actually going to take a couple celery stalks so that I can put in my bone broth that I'm making right now. Oh, a whole bunch of them came out. I think I just need a couple more. Look at that. The whole thing is coming out. I got myself some celery and I'm going to also be putting it with the rest of the vegetables that we just harvested. Before I do that, let me make sure I cover it over here because I do want it to survive. There we go. So let me know in the comments below what you are growing in your winter garden and what zone you are.